Guardians of the Galaxy, retroactively referred to as Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1/45, is a 2014 American superhero film based on the Marvel Comics superhero team of the same name. Produced by Marvel Studios and distributed by Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures, it is the 10th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe MCU. Directed by James Gunn, who wrote the screenplay with Nicole Perlman, it features an ensemble cast including Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, Bautista, Vin Diesel, and Bradley Cooper as the titular Guardians, along with Lee Pace, Michael Rooker, Karen Gillan, Djimon Hounsou, John C. Reilly, Glenn Close, and Benicio del Toro. In the film, Peter Quill, Pratt, and a group of extraterrestrial criminals go on the run after stealing a powerful artifact. Perlman began working on the screenplay in 2009. Producer Kevin Feige first publicly mentioned Guardians of the Galaxy as a potential film in 2010, and Marvel Studios announced it was in active development at the July 2012 San Diego Comic-Con. Gunn was hired to write and direct the film that September. In February 2013, Pratt was hired to play Peter Quill / Star-Lord, and the supporting cast members were subsequently confirmed. Principal photography began in July 2013 at Shepperton Studios in England, with filming continuing in London before wrapping in October 2013. In addition to an original score by Tyler Bates, the soundtrack includes several popular songs from the 1960s and 1970s chosen by Gunn. Post-production was completed on July 7, 2014. Guardians of the Galaxy premiered at the Dolby Theater in Hollywood, Los Angeles, on July 21, 2014, and was theatrically released in the United States on August 1 as part of Phase 2 of the MCU. It was a critical and commercial success, grossing $773.3 million worldwide and became the third highest grossing film of 2014. It was praised for its screenplay, direction, acting, humor, soundtrack, visual effects and action sequences. It was nominated for 2 awards at the 87th Academy Awards, and received numerous other accolades. 2 sequels have been released, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, 2017, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, 2023. Plot. In 1988, following his mother's death, the child Peter Quill is abducted from Earth by the Ravagers, a group of alien thieves and smugglers led by Yondu Yodanta. In 2014, on the abandoned planet Morag, Quill steals a mysterious orb but is attacked by henchmen of the fanatical Kree renegade Ronan the Accuser, led by Korath. Although Quill escapes with the orb, Yondu discovers his theft and issues a bounty for his capture, while Ronan sends the assassin Gamera after the orb. When Quill attempts to sell the orb on Xandar, the capital of the Nova Empire, Gamera ambushes him and steals it. A fight ensues, drawing in a pair of bounty hunters, Rocket, a genetically and cybernetically modified raccoon, and his companion, the tree-like humanoid Groot. Nova Corps officers capture the 4, detaining them in the Kyln prison. An inmate, Drax the Destroyer, attempts to kill Gamera due to her association with Ronan, who killed his wife and daughter. Quill convinces Drax that Gamera can bring Ronan to him, though Gamera reveals that she has betrayed Ronan, unwilling to let him use the orb's power. Learning that Gamera intends to sell the orb to the collector Titular Tavan, Quill, Rocket, Groot, and Drax work together to escape the Kyln in Quill's ship, the Milano. Ronan meets with Gamera's adoptive father, Thanos, to discuss her betrayal. Quill's group flees to Nohir, a city planet inhabited by thieves and merchants made from the severed head of a dead celestial. A drunken Drax summons Ronan while the rest of the group meets Tavan. Tavan opens the orb, revealing an Infinity Stone, an item of immeasurable power that destroys all but the most powerful beings who wield it. Tavan's slave, Karina, grabs the stone, triggering an explosion that engulfs Tavan's collection. Ronan arrives and easily defeats Drax, while the others flee by ship, pursued by Ronan's followers, including Gamera's adoptive sister Nebula. Nebula destroys Gamera's ship, leaving her floating in space, and Ronan's fighters capture the orb. Quill contacts Yondu before following Gamera into space, giving her his helmet to survive. Yondu arrives and retrieves the pair. Rocket, Drax, and Groot threaten to attack Yondu's ship to rescue them, but Quill negotiates a truce, promising the orb to Yondu. Quill's group agrees that facing Ronan means certain death, but that they cannot let him use the Infinity Stone to destroy the galaxy. On Ronan's flagship, the Dark Aster, Ronan embeds the stone in his Warhammer, taking its power for himself. He contacts Thanos, threatening to kill him after first destroying Xandar. Hateful of her adoptive father, Nebula allies with Ronan. The Ravagers and Quill's group join the Nova Corps to confront the Dark Aster at Xandar, with Quill's group breaching the warship with the Milano. Ronan uses his empowered Warhammer to destroy the Nova Corps fleet. Drax kills Korath, and Gamera defeats Nebula, who escapes. However, the group finds themselves outmatched by Ronan's power. Rocket crashes a Ravager ship through the Dark Aster. The damaged Dark Aster crash lands on Xandar, with Groot sacrificing himself to shield the group. Ronan emerges from the wreck and prepares to destroy Xandar, but Quill distracts him, allowing Drax and Rocket to destroy Ronan's Warhammer. Quill grabs the freed stone, and with Gamera, Drax, and Rocket sharing its burden, uses it to vaporize Ronan. Quill gives Yondu a container supposedly containing the stone and gives the real one to the Nova Corps. As the Ravagers leave Xandar, Kraglin of Fontaine remarks that it turned out well that they did not deliver Quill to his father per their contract. Quill's group, now known as the Guardians of the Galaxy, has their criminal records expunged, and Quill learns that he is only half human, his father being part of an ancient, unknown species. Quill finally opens the last present he received from his mother, a cassette tape filled with her favorite songs. The Guardians leave in the rebuilt Milano along with a potted sapling cut from Groot, which grows into a baby version of him. In a post-credits scene, Tavan sits in his destroyed archive with two of his living exhibits, a canine cosmonaut and an anthropomorphic duck. Cast. The cast of Guardians of the Galaxy promoting the film at the 2013 San Diego Comic-Con. From top to bottom, Pratt, Saldana, Bautista, Pace, Rooker, Gillan, Hounsou, and Del Toro. Scrollable image. Chris Pratt as Peter Quill / Star-Lord. The half-human, half-alien leader of the Guardians who was abducted from Missouri as a child in 1988 and raised by a group of alien thieves and smugglers called the Ravagers. 9/10/11 About the character, Pratt said, "He had a hard time as a kid, and now he goes around space, making out with hot alien girls and just being a rogue and a bit of a jerk, and through teaming up with these guys, finds a higher purpose for himself." 12 He also added that the character is a mix of Han Solo and Marty McFly. 8 Pratt, who was mostly known for playing supporting characters, including Andy Dwyer on the television series Parks and Recreation, initially turned down the role. Pratt had lost weight to portray fit characters in films such as Moneyball, 2011, and Zero Dark 30, 2012, and had given up ambitions to play the lead role in action films after humbling auditions for Star Trek and Avatar, both 2009. Casting director Sarah Finn suggested Pratt to Gunn, who dismissed the idea despite struggling to cast that role. Despite this, Finn arranged for a meeting between the two, at which point Gunn was immediately convinced that Pratt was perfect for the role. Pratt also won over Feige, despite having gained weight again for Delivery Man, 2013. Prior to filming, Pratt underwent a strict diet and training regimen to lose 60 pounds, 27 kilograms, in 6 months. 14 Pratt signed a multi-film contract with Marvel 15 and was granted a temporary leave from his work on Parks and Recreation to accommodate his participation in the film. 16 Wyatt Oleff portrays a young Quill. 17. Zoe Saldana as Gamera. An orphan from an alien world who seeks redemption for her past crimes. She was trained by Thanos to be his personal assassin. 9/18/19 Saldana said that she became Gamera through makeup rather than computer-generated imagery, CGI, or performance capture. 20 On taking the role, Saldana said, "I was just excited to be asked to join by James Gunn and to also play someone green. I've been blue before in Avatar." 21 Saldana described Gamera as a warrior. "She's an assassin and she's very lethal, but what saves her is the same thing that can doom her. She has a sense of righteousness. She's a very righteous individual." 8. Dave Bautista as Drax the Destroyer. A warrior who seeks to avenge his family's death at the hands of Ronin. 18 On relating to the character, Bautista said, "I can just relate to Drax so much it's not even funny. Just the simple things that we have in common. Simple things like the tattoos, the tragedy because, you know, I had a bit of tragedy in my life, as well. So it's really easy for me to pull from that." Bautista also said that there was a lot of comic relief to Drax, but the character was not aware of it. Bautista stated that he did not do much preparation for the role, because luckily, for me, I'm a lifelong athlete and I adapted real quick. 22 Bautista's makeup took approximately 4 hours to apply, though it could be removed in just 90 minutes. 23 Drax has various scarring patterns on his body, which replace the simple tattoos from the comics, each having a specific story. Additionally, his skin tone was changed from the bright green in the comics to a muddier gray, to avoid visual similarities to the Hulk. 24. Vin Diesel as Groot. A tree-like humanoid. 25 He is the accomplice of Rocket. Diesel stated that he provided the voice and motion capture for Groot, after originally being in talks to star in a new Phase 3 Marvel film. 26 27 28 Diesel also provided Groot's voice for several foreign language releases of the film. 29 Christian Godlewski portrayed the character on set, though his acting was not used in the final character CGI. 31 On the character, which Gunn based on his dog. 32 Gunn said, "All the Guardians start out the movie as bastards except Groot. He's an innocent. He's 100% deadly and 100% sweet. He's caught up in Rocket's life, really." Gunn added that the design and movement of Groot took the better part of a year to create. 33 Gunn added, "The ways in which Vin Diesel says, 'I am Groot,' I am astounded. All of the 'I am Groots' that were earlier voices didn't sound very good at all. Vin came in and in one day, laid down all these 'I am Groot' tracks, and he's a perfectionist. He made me explain to him with every sick 'I am Groot' exactly what he was saying. It was amazing when we first put that voice in there how much the character changed and how much he influenced the character." 34 Regarding the limited words used by Groot, Diesel said in many ways this was the most challenging thing to ask an actor to do. 35 Diesel found an emotional note in his performance, invoking the death of his friend and Fast and Furious co-star Paul Walker, saying, "This was in December 2013, and the first time I came back to dealing with human beings after dealing with death, so playing a character who celebrates life in the way Groot does was very nice." 36 Groot's form and size changing abilities are seen, with Gunn stating that he has the ability to grow in the film. 37. Bradley Cooper as Rocket. A genetically engineered raccoon-based bounty hunter, mercenary, and master of weapons and battle tactics. 9/25/38/39 Gunn worked with live raccoons to get the correct feel for the character, and to make sure it was not a cartoon character, saying, "It's not Bugs Bunny in the middle of the Avengers, it's a real, little, somewhat mangled beast that's alone. There's no one else in the universe quite like him, he's been created by these guys to be a mean-ass fighting machine." 40 Out of his original feelings that a talking raccoon could look a bit goofy in a superhero film, Gunn came up with a tragic origin story for Rocket that made him the saddest creature in the universe, said backstory would be eventually explored in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, 2023. 41 Gunn also based the character on himself. 32 Describing Rocket in relation to the rest of the Guardians, Cooper said, "I think Rocket is dynamic. He's the sort of Joe Pesci in Goodfellas, 1990, guy. 42 Cooper voiced Rocket, while Sean Gunn, James' younger brother, stood in for the character during filming. 43 James Gunn said that for the role of Rocket, some physical movements from Cooper, including facial expressions and hand movements, were recorded as potential references for the animators. 44 Though much of Sean Gunn's acting is used throughout the film. 30 Sean noted they kind of stumbled into the process of him performing on set since they weren't sure how we were going to create that character. The same process continued to be used for all subsequent appearances of Rocket. 45 Before Cooper was cast, James Gunn said that it was a challenge finding a voice for Rocket, that he was looking for someone who could balance the fast-talking speech patterns that Rocket has, but also can be funny, because he is really funny. But also has the heart that Rocket has. Because there are actually some pretty dramatic scenes with Rocket. 46. Lee Pace as Ronan the Accuser. A Kree zealot and war criminal who agrees to retrieve an artifact for Thanos in exchange for the annihilation of his mortal enemies, the Xandarians. Ronan and his Sakaran army 47 hunt down the Guardians when they interfere with his goals. 948 Describing Ronan, Gunn said, "He is the primary villain, and he is a really twisted guy. He has a really religious bent in this film. He has a very sick and twisted view of what morality is. Strength is virtue and weakness is sin, and that is what he lives by, and I think he is very scary because of his beliefs, which are real to him." 49 Pace, who originally auditioned for Peter Quill 50 described Ronan as a psycho and a monster. 51. Michael Rooker as Yondu Yodanta. A blue-skinned bandit who is the leader of the Ravagers and a paternal figure to Quill. 952 Yondu helps Quill to steal the orb before Quill betrays him, leaving Yondu and the Ravagers to chase the Guardians. On the character, Rooker said, "He has some interesting issues, not a good guy, not a bad guy. There's hope and there's a heart inside Yondu." Gunn created the film's version of the character specifically with Rooker in mind, while borrowing the character's mohawk and use of a whistle-controlled arrow from the comics. Rooker fully committed to the role once he knew his role on the TV series The Walking Dead would be ending. 53 Rooker's makeup took approximately 4 hours to apply. 54. Karen Gillan as Nebula. An adopted daughter of Thanos who was raised with Gamora as siblings and is a loyal lieutenant in the employ of Ronan and Thanos. 9/11 About the character, Gillan said, "She is the female villain of the film. She is very sadistic and evil, but I like to think for a very valid reason." 55 She also added, "I think she's a really interesting character. What I like to play around with is how jealous she is. She's Gamora's sister, and there's a lot of sibling rivalry. That's the most interesting aspect to me, because jealousy can consume you and turn you bitter, and ugly. And she's a total sadist, so that's fun too." 56 Gunn and Gillan worked to create Nebula's voice as a simultaneous impression of Marilyn Monroe and Clint Eastwood. 57 Gillan researched the ancient Spartans, shaved off her hair and trained for 2 months for the role. 56-58 The character's makeup took approximately 4.5 hours to be applied. 56. Djimon Hounsou as Korath. A Kree 47 ally of Ronan who is a feared intergalactic hunter. 9 As to why he took the role, Hounsou said, "I have a 4-year-old son who loves superheroes from Spider-Man to Iron Man to Batman. He's got all the costumes. One day he looks at me and says, 'Dad, I want to be light-skinned so I could be Spider-Man.' Spider-Man has light skin. That was sort of a shock. This is why I am excited to be a part of the Marvel Universe, so I could hopefully provide that diversity in the role of the superhero." 59. John C. Reilly as Raman Day, a corpsman in the Nova Corps, the Nova Empire's military and police force. 960. Glenn Close as Irani Rail. The leader of the Nova Corps, known as Nova Prime, whose mission is to protect the citizens of the Nova Empire and keep peace. 961-62 Close stated that she had always wanted to be in a movie like this, and that it would be the most fun to play something like the Judi Dench as M or Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury role. 63 She said that she took the role because she loves to do stuff that's different and wanted to show that she has always been up for anything. 64 She also stated that her contract has several films on it, and that she would be open to working on other Marvel Studios films in addition to returning for Guardians sequels. 63. Benicio del Toro as Titular to Van / the Collector. An obsessive keeper of the largest collection of interstellar fauna, relics, and species in the galaxy who operates out of a place in space named No Here. 961-65 Describing Del Toro's performance, Gunn said, "He's like an outer space liberace. That's what it says in the script, which he's kind of doing." 44 On bringing the character to life, Del Toro said, "What James Gunn wanted, that I found out little by little as I was doing it, is that he wanted me to explore and just keep pushing the character and keep creating him as I was in front of the camera." 66. Additionally, Josh Brolin appears, uncredited, as Thanos through voice acting and performance capture, taking over the role from Damien Poitier. 67-68-69 Sean Gunn stood in for Thanos during filming and portrays Kraglin of Fontaine, Yondu's first mate in The Ravagers. 30 Alexis Denisof reprises his role as Thanos' vizier, the other, from The Avengers, 2012. 70 Ophelia Lovibond plays Karina, the Collector's slave. 71-72 Peter Serafinowicz plays Dean Orion Garthan Saul, a Nova Corps officer. 73-74 Greg Henry plays Quill's grandfather. 75 Laura Haddock plays Quill's mother, Meredith. 74-76 Melia Creeling plays Barit. 77 Christopher Fairbank plays the broker. 78 Michaela Hoover plays Nova Prime's assistant. 79 Marama Corlett plays a pit boss at the bar, the boot. 80 Emmett J. Scanlon plays a Nova riot guard. 81-82 Alexis Rodney plays Maloka Dar. 83-84 Tom Proctor plays Horus, a Ravager. 85 and Spencer Wilding plays a prison guard who confiscates Quill's Walkman. 83-86 K9 actor Fred appears as Cosmo. 6 Stephen Blackheart had a supporting role. 87 Naomi Ryan also had a supporting role in the film, though it was cut in the final version. 80 Ralph Ineson has a brief role as a Ravager pilot. 88 cameos in the film include James Gunn as Asaka Aaron. 6 Stan Lee as a Xandarian ladies man. 689 Lloyd Kaufman as an inmate. 9091 Nathan Fillion as the voice of an inmate. 692 Rob Zombie as the voice of the Ravager navigator. 6 composer Tyler Bates as a Ravager pilot. 93 and Seth Green as the voice of Howard the Duck. 7. Production. Development. I think anybody who would have said that this would make a great main movie would have been laughed off. It's such an unlikely thing to do. So I think it's lovely to work on something and expose its potential to the point where a company like Marvel will say, yes, this makes sense. Dan Abnett, co-writer of the 2008 Guardians of the Galaxy relaunch, on the Project 94. Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige first mentioned Guardians of the Galaxy as a potential film at the 2010 San Diego Comic-Con, stating, "There are some obscure titles, too, like Guardians of the Galaxy. I think they've been revamped recently in a fun way in the comic book." 95. Feige reiterated that sentiment in a September 2011 issue of Entertainment Weekly, saying, "There's an opportunity to do a big space epic, which Thor, 2011, sort of hints at, in the cosmic side of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU." Feige added, should the film be made, it would feature an ensemble of characters, similar to X-Men, 2000, and The Avengers, 2012. 96. Feige announced that the film was in active development at the 2012 San Diego Comic-Con during the Marvel Studios panel, with an intended release date of August 1, 2014. He said the film's titular team would consist of the characters Star-Lord, Drax the Destroyer, Gamora, Groot, and Rocket. 97 Two pieces of concept art were also displayed, one of Rocket Raccoon, and one featuring the entire team. 98 Colin Trevorrow had discussions to direct the film, but he turned it down as he was never a comic book fan. 99 In August 2012, James Gunn entered talks to direct the film, beating out other contenders, including future MCU directors Peyton Reed and the duo Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck. 100 The Avengers director Joss Whedon, who signed a deal to creatively consult on all of the films leading up to the Avengers sequel, 2015, 101 was enthusiastic about the selection of Gunn to direct, saying James Gunn is what makes me think it will work. He is so off the wall, and so crazy, but so smart, such a craftsman, and he builds from his heart. He loves the raccoon. Needs the raccoon. He has a very twisted take on it, but it all comes from a real love for the material. It's going to be hard for the human characters to keep up. 102. Writing. Nicole Perlman, who was enrolled in Marvel's screenwriting program in 2009, 103 was offered several of their lesser-known properties to base a screenplay on. 104 out of those, Perlman chose Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning's Guardians of the Galaxy, due to her interest in space and science fiction. 104 adding, I think Marvel were a little taken aback when I chose Guardians, because there were ones that would make a lot more sense if you were a romantic comedy writer or something like that. 105 Perlman wrote 10 drafts between 2009 and 2011, in which she tried various combinations of characters for the team, including the original members in the comics, before settling on Abnett and Lanning's run since theirs were the most fun. 106 early drafts centered on Nova, before Nate Moore, the head of the studio's writing program, suggested it change to Star-Lord. 107 subsequent drafts saw Star-Lord reimagined to be closer to a Han Solo-type character, the inclusion of 1980s and 1990s music from Perlman's childhood, which would become the 1970s and 1980s pop mixtape in Gunn's later drafts, and the eventual opening scene of the film on a desolate planet that harkened back to a memory Perlman had at Disneyland viewing a drained-out submarine voyage. 106 Gunn was brought in early 2012 to contribute to the script. 105 eventually rewriting the script entirely because it didn't work for him. He would use the film The Dirty Dozen, 1967, as a reference to convey his ideas of the film to Marvel. 108. Gunn later explained that Perlman's draft was very different from the script he used during filming, including a different story, character arcs and no Walkman. He stated, in Nicole's script everything is pretty different, it's not about the same stuff. But that's how the UGA works. 109. The 2012 screenplay also had Jason as an emperor and Peter Quill / Star-Lord's father, just like in the comic books. When Marvel asked Joss Whedon to revise the script ahead of Age of Ultron, Whedon particularly detested this reveal and suggested Marvel to not make Peter part of royalty. 110 Whedon suggested Gunn to make the story weirder after reading the early draft. 111 Throughout the writing process, there was some debate on whether keeping Rocket as a member of the Guardians or even featuring the character at all in the film due to concerns that he could come off as too cartoonish, hence why a few drafts excluded the character, but Perlman felt that the character's inclusion was necessary and was happy at Feige letting her keep him in the script due to him being a great Rocket fan. 112 In August 2012, Marvel Studios hired writer Chris McCoy to rewrite Perlman's script. 113 but was not credited in the final film. 61. Gunn revealed that character introductions were the hardest scenes to crack, with Thanos' introduction being the most difficult. He felt that having Thanos be in that scene was more helpful to the MCU than it was to Guardians of the Galaxy, yet he still wanted Thanos in the film, without belittling the actual antagonist of the film, which is Ronan. To solve his dilemma, Gunn chose to have Ronan kill the other, Thanos' vizier, saying, I thought that was interesting, because we've had the other, who's obviously very powerful even in comparison to Loki, and then we see Ronan wipe his ass with him. So that I liked, but even that was sort of difficult, because it played as funnier when I first wrote it, and the humor didn't work so much. 114 Perlman's original script had Thanos as the main villain of the film, but Whedon asked Gunn if he could not have Thanos as the main antagonist and Gunn agreed, reducing Thanos' role in the plot. 115. Pre-production. In September 2012, Gunn confirmed that he had signed on to direct the film and rewrite the script. 116 By the end of November, Joel Edgerton, Jack Huston, Jim Sturgis, and Eddie Redmayne signed deals to test for the role of Peter Quill, as did Lee Pace. 117 which he confirmed a week later in early December. 50 other actors who were considered for the role included Thor: The Dark World, 2013, actor Zachary Levi 118, Adam Brody 119, Joseph Gordon-Levitt 120, Michael Rosenbaum 121, and John Gallagher Jr. 122 Chris Pratt was cast in the role in February 2013, as part of a multi-film deal that he signed with Marvel. 123 Glenn Howerton was Gunn's second choice for the role. 124. Gunn promoting the film at the 2013 San Diego Comic-Con. In January 2013, filming was scheduled to take place at Shepperton Studios in London, United Kingdom. 125 And Marvel Studios announced that the film would be released in 3D. 126 Victoria Alonso, an executive producer on the film, said that filming would begin in June. She also said that both Rocket Raccoon and Grodd would be created through a combination of CGI and motion capture, going on to say that you can't do any motion capture with a raccoon, they won't let you put the suit on. But we will do rotomation, probably, for some of the behavior. We definitely will have performers to emulate what James Gunn will lead to be, the behavior and the performance. He's very clear on where he wants to take the characters. 127. In March 2013, Feige discussed Guardians of the Galaxy in relation to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, saying, "It's much more of a standalone film. It takes place in the same universe. And when we've been on the other side of that universe in other movies, you might see those characteristics in Guardians, but the Avengers are not involved with what's happening out there at this time." Feige also stated that 95% of the film would take place in space. 128 In mid-March, Dave Bautista was signed to play Drax the Destroyer. 129 other actors who had been considered for the role included Isaiah Mustafa, Brian Patrick Wade, Jason Momoa 129, and Chadwick Boseman. 130 Momoa chose not to continue after auditioning, feeling the character was too similar to other parts he had played in the past, and he did not want to further add to his typecasting as the Brute character. 131 By the following week, sculptor Brian Muir, who sculpted Darth Vader's mask for Star Wars, 1977, was revealed to be working on the film. 132. In early April 2013, Zoe Saldana entered into negotiations to star as Gamora in the film, and it was confirmed she had been cast later that month. 133 Amanda Seyfried had been offered the role, but declined due to the excessive hours of makeup required for the role, and her uncertainty over the film's commercial viability. 134 Lupita Nyong'o also auditioned for the role. 130 Also in April, Michael Rooker joined the film's cast as Yondu Yodonta 52, and it was announced that Ophelia Lovibond had been cast in a supporting role. 71 By this point in time, Lee Pace was in final negotiations to play the villain of the film. 135 In May, Marvel offered John C. Reilly the role of Raman Day. 136 At the same time, it was disclosed that filmmakers were looking at actors including Hugh Laurie, Alan Rickman, and Ken Watanabe for another role, and that Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely were providing finishing touches to the script. 136 A few days later, Glenn Close was cast as the head of the Nova Corps in the film 62, followed shortly by the casting of Karen Gillan as the film's lead female villain. 137 By June 2013, Benicio del Toro was cast in the film, as part of a multi-film deal with Marvel Studios. 65 later in the month, it was confirmed that Reilly had been cast as Raman Day. 60. Special effects makeup designer David White took head and body casts of actors, such as Bautista, to experiment with materials used to create the characters. White said, "James always pushed for practical and makeup effects. He wanted, like me, to see the real deal there on set." White was careful not to use modern creature designs to ensure they did not fall short in Gunn's uniquely envisioned world. White and his team created upwards of 1,000 prosthetic makeup applications and 2,000 molds of different colored aliens. 138 For the specific aesthetic look to the film, Gunn wanted to create a colorful science fiction world, and include elements of 1950s and 60s pulp movies, citing the Ravager spaceships, which he compared to muscle cars, as an example of the latter. 139 Science fiction artist Chris Foss inspired and helped design the final look of some of the spacecrafts that appear in the film. 140 The Mass Effect video game series, Flash Gordon, Farscape, and Star Wars were primary inspirations for Gunn on the film. 141. Filming. Principal photography began around July 6, 2013, in London, United Kingdom. 58 Under the working title of Full Tilt. 8 Filming took place at Shepperton Studios and Long Cross Studios. 125 142 Later in July, Gunn and the film's cast flew from London to attend San Diego Comic-Con, where it was revealed that Pace would play Ronan the Accuser, Gillan would be Nebula, Del Toro as the Collector, and that Djimon Hounsou had been cast as Korath. 5861 Close was later revealed to play Nova Prime Irani Rail. 961 Also at San Diego Comic-Con, Feige stated that Thanos would be a part of the film as the mastermind. 143 On August 11, 2013, filming began at London's Millennium Bridge. 144 which was selected as a double for Xandar. 24 In August 2013, Marvel announced that Bradley Cooper would voice Rocket. 38 On September 3, 2013, Gunn said that filming was a little over halfway complete. 145 Also in September, Vin Diesel stated that he was voicing Groot. 28 However, Marvel did not confirm Diesel's involvement in the film at the time. 43 44 146 On October 12, 2013, Gunn announced on social media that filming had completed. 147. Director of photography Ben Davis used Arri Alexa XT cameras for the film, saying, "I'm traditionally a photochemical fan, but going with the digital format was the right way for this movie. The Alexa provided the right look for this particular film." During the opening scenes in the 1980s, Davis chose JDC Crystal, Express anamorphic prime lenses because they had more anamorphic artifacts and aberrations, which he felt added something. Davis used spherical Panavision Primos for the rest of the film. Additionally, Davis worked closely with production designer Charles Wood to achieve the correct lighting looks for each scene. 142 Dealing with two fully CGI characters forced Davis to shoot scenes multiple times, usually once with the references for the characters and once without them in the shot. 148. Gunn revealed that his brother, Sean Gunn, took on multiple roles during the filming process, such as standing in for Rocket, which he noted was beneficial for the other actors, including Saldana, Pratt, and Bautista, who responded positively to Sean and his on-set performances. 30 Sean was first hired to play Kraglin of Fontaine, but James hired him as a stand-in on set for Rocket because he knew he could trust in him until they could figure out how to portray Rocket, though they knew Sean would not voice the character, with Cooper being cast to voice Rocket very late in development. 149 Special effects makeup designer David White made two life-size versions of Rocket and a bust of Groot as aids for visual effects, with White saying, "It gives the filmmakers a good indication of where visual effects needs to pick up and whether Rocket can actually reach certain things or use certain devices." 31 These busts were also used to see how the on-set lighting would affect the characters, to assist with the visual effects lighting process. 31. In January 2015, Disney revealed that the film came in slightly over the agreed budget at $232.3 million, with Disney receiving a rebate of $36.4 million from the British government. It was previously estimated to have had a $170 million budget. 150. Post-production. In November 2013, Gunn stated that he attempted to use as many practical effects as possible while filming to aid the use of CGI and motion capture during post-production, saying, "Our sets are enormous. We have a prison that is 350,000 pounds of steel. Anybody who knows me knows I love the mix of practical and CGI effects. I can't wait for people to see it, because it's astonishingly beautiful." 151. After the release of Thor: The Dark World, Feige stated that the Infinity Stones would be a focus in the film, as well as going forward into the Phase 3 slate of films within the MCU. 152. Gunn originally wrote the scene of the Collector explaining about the origins of the Infinity Stones in 1 hour and a half, only to then be told by Marvel Studios that they were incidentally thinking about including the Power Stone in his film, an idea that Gunn found cool to use. Thus subsequent MCU filmmakers involved in the long-planned story of Avengers: Infinity War, 2018, based themselves on Gunn's backstory for the Stones. 153. In a separate interview for The Dark World in November, Feige added that a third, unknown Infinity Stone would be seen in the film 154, referred to as the Power Stone by the Collector. 155. 156. The mid-credits scene in The Dark World revealed Lovabond's role as the Collector's slave, later named Karina. 72. In December 2013, Marvel confirmed that Diesel would voice Groot. 157. A few weeks of additional filming, involving the film's main cast and crew, occurred in March 2014 at Walt Disney Studios in Burbank, California. 158. 159. 160. In April 2014, Gunn described Thanos as the head of the snake in the film, and confirmed he would appear via performance capture. 11. In May 2014, Gunn stated that the film features an enormous amount of smaller and minor characters from the Marvel Universe, adding that he felt the film had the most characters overall of any Marvel Studios film to date. 161. Costume supervisor Dan Grace added to this by saying, "We really get the feeling of the scale and scope of the galaxy. We visit 5 planets, we see 100 different races. The film introduces the alien race Sakaran, who act as Ronan's mercenaries, as a replacement to the Badoon, as the Badoon film rights belong to 20th Century Fox." 47. By the end of May, Josh Brolin was revealed as the voice of Thanos. 67-68. With Feige confirming in July that Brolin also provided the performance capture for the character. 69. Whedon assisted Gunn as well in casting Brolin. 162. Brolin was filming Everest, 2015, when Marvel Studios approached him to play Thanos with information about the character, explaining to him that his role in Guardians would consist of a cameo appearance, with larger roles planned for later installments. 163. Feige explained that Brolin was totally intrigued when approached for the role, having been a fan of Marvel Studios' past films. 69. Thanos communicates via hologram for much of the film, though he does appear in a scene with Ronan and Nebula. 155. In June 2014, Feige added that Thanos and his followers are the biggest piece of connective tissue that will eventually lead us back into Avengers films in the future. 164. On July 7, 2014, Gunn announced on social media that he had completed work on the film. 165. In August, regarding the post-credit scene, Gunn revealed that the scene did not involve Howard the Duck when it was originally filmed, rather he was added during post-production. 166. A decision made by some combination of Gunn and the editor Fred Raskin. 80. As the decision to add the character was made late in the post-production process, he had to be designed that day, before being handed off to Sony Pictures Imageworks to animate. Also in August, regarding the pre-credit scene of Baby Groot dancing, Gunn stated that he himself danced to provide motion reference for the animators, and that the decision was made to place the scene before the credits, rather than during or after them, because of positive responses from a test audience, which made Marvel and Gunn feel that they did not want people walking out and missing this thing. Another late change halfway in production came when Marvel decided that the Reality Stone would be red in the Dark World. Because the Power Stone was originally meant to be red as well, Gunn was asked to change its color from red to purple, which he accepted as, by his own admission, liked that color more. 167 Marvel used design firm Swarovski once again for the film's title sequences, after liking their work for Captain America, The Winter Soldier, 2014. Swarovski developed a custom typeface based on the font used in the teaser posters for the opening credits, which was tinted orange to offer a better contrast to the film's blue and gray imagery. One of the typography solutions offered before the final product wound up being repurposed as the locator card seen throughout the film. 168. Visual effects. The gardens by the bay, top, in Singapore helped inspire the look of the planet Xandar, bottom. 169. The film featured 2,750 visual effects shots, 170 which make up approximately 90% of the film. 169 The visual effects were created by Moving Picture Company, MPC, who worked on creating Groot, as well as Morag, Xandar, the Dark Aster and the final battle on Xandar. 169 Frame Store, who worked on creating Rocket, extending the KYLN prison set and constructing Nohir. 169 171 Luma Pictures, who worked on Thanos. 169 Method Studios, who worked on creating the orb opening and revealing its powers, as well as the holographic displays at the Nova Corps Command Center. 169 Lola VFX. Cantina Creative, Sony Pictures Imageworks, who worked on Howard the Duck and creating the Dark Aster shots with MPC 80. 169 Kosa VFX, Secret Lab, Rise Visual Effects Studios, and Technicolor VFX. 172 173 pre and post visualizations were done by Proof and the Third Floor, with Proof also contributing to the creation of Rocket and Groot. 169. Producer Nick Corden noted how helpful it was to have Sean Gunn and Christian Godlewski portray Rocket and Groot on set, as it provided references for lighting and on-set performances to the animators. 31 When creating Groot, MPC realized early on that his eyes would be essential in maintaining the character's human qualities, as his face couldn't move in the way that humans do. MPC visual effects supervisor Nicholas Athady explained that, when you look at humans, what makes the eyes interesting is the imperfections, trying to make these two irises not aimed at the same place, trying to make them strange and look more human. 169. Textures for Groot came from a number of sources, including inspiration from a botanical garden in London, and the character was modeled as individual branches, rigged individually, to simulate a muscle system for the character. 169. One of the major challenges for Framestore in creating Rocket was his fur. Framestore's Rachel Williams explained that, since raccoon fur is made up from a layer of short fine hair and a layer of longer thicker hairs, these layers were separated and animated individually, removing the need to use guide hairs to control the movements of thick sections of fur. 169 Framestore and MPC worked closely, sharing assets, to ensure shots of Rocket at MPC would match the Rocket created by Framestore, and vice versa for when Groot was needed by the other studio. 169. To give Thanos the performance and the weight that he deserved, Luma Pictures created a new facial animation system to recreate Josh Brolin as a fully CG character, using his eyes, some of his cheek, how his muscles move when he talks. The character's large jaw, and the deep grooves that run down his face, had to be carefully planned out with the movement of his face. 169. Music. Main article, Guardians of the Galaxy, soundtrack. In August 2013, Gunn revealed that Tyler Bates would be composing the film's score. Gunn stated that Bates would write some of the score first so that he can film to the music, as opposed to scoring to the film. 174 In February 2014, Gunn revealed that the film would incorporate songs from the 1960s and 1970s, such as Hooked on a Feeling, on a mixtape in Quill's Walkman, which acts as a way for him to stay connected to the earth, home, and family he lost. 175 In May 2014, Gunn added that using the songs from the 60s and 70s were cultural reference points, saying, "It's striking the balance throughout the whole movie, through something that is very unique, but also something that is easily accessible to people at the same time." The music and the earth stuff is one of those touchstones that we have to remind us that, yeah, Quill is a real person from planet Earth who's just like you and me. Except that he's in this big outer space adventure. 161. When choosing the songs, Gunn revealed he started the process by reading the Billboard charts for all of the top hits of the 70s, downloading a few hundred songs that were semi-familiar ones you recognize but might not be able to name off the top of your head, and creating a playlist for all the songs that would fit the film tonally. He added that he would listen to the playlist on my speakers around the house. Sometimes I would be inspired to create a scene around a song, and other times I had a scene that needed music and I would listen through the playlist, visualizing various songs, figuring out which would work the best. 176. Most of the songs were played on set to help the actors and the camera operators find the perfect groove for the shot, with David Bowie's Moonage Daydream the only song chosen and added during post-production. Gunn also said that the opening scenes were designed with Hooked on a Feeling in mind. However, once Gunn discovered Come and Get Your Love, the song used in the sequence, Gunn felt it was a better fit. 176. 3 albums were released by Hollywood Records on July 29, 2014, the film's score, Guardians of the Galaxy, original score, which features the music composed by Bates for the film 177 Guardians of the Galaxy, Awesome Mix Volume 1, original motion picture soundtrack, which comprises the 12 songs from Quill's mixtape, and a deluxe edition featuring both albums. 178 By August 2014, the album, which mirrored Quill's mixtape, had reached the top of the Billboard 200 chart, becoming the first soundtrack album in history consisting entirely of previously released songs to top the chart. 179 Hollywood Records also released a cassette version of the Awesome Mix Volume 1 soundtrack on November 28, 2014, as an exclusive to Record Store Day participants. The cassette, which is the first cassette Disney Music Group has released since 2003, comes with a digital download version of the album. 180. Marketing. Promotion. The cast and crew of Guardians of the Galaxy at the 2013 San Diego Comic-Con, LR, producer Kevin Feige, Bautista, director James Gunn, Del Toro, Saldana, Hounsou, Pace, Rooker, Gillan, and Pratt. At Disney's D23 Expo in August 2013, Feige presented footage first revealed at San Diego Comic-Con in July 2013. 181 The first trailer for the film debuted on Jimmy Kimmel Live on February 18, 2014, with a special introduction by Chris Pratt. 10 The Los Angeles Times said the trailer delivered some spirited alien action, with exploding spaceships and muscled bad guys, not to mention a few purely comedic moments, while spotlighting a number of the offbeat characters. 182. Total Film noted the similarity of the trailer's opening clip to the 1981 film, Raiders of the Lost Ark, which Gunn stated was a big influence for Guardians 183 and made note of the edgy humor used throughout. 184 Total Film also noted the similarity of the trailer to the one debuted at Comic-Con and D23, with a few new shots featuring Nebula and the Collector. 185 186 Social media response to the trailer was strong, with 88,000 mentions across Twitter, Facebook and various blogs in a 12-hour period. Those numbers were comparable to trailers for other superhero films like Man of Steel and The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and noteworthy for the late-night time period in which it premiered. 187 The trailer received 22.8 million views in the 24 hours after it debuted. 188 After the debut of the trailer, Blue Swede's version of Hooked on a Feeling, which was prominently used throughout the trailer, went up 700% in sales the following day. 189 The line from Serafino's character, "What a bunch of a-holes," was only intended to be featured in the trailers, but due to its positive reception, was included in the final cut of the film. 80 Gunn noted that a different teaser was almost released that was very cheesy and sold the movie as something different than what it was, as it tested better than the version that was ultimately released. Gunn credited the marketing teams at Marvel and Disney for having faith in the latter version, despite how it tested, over choosing the version that would have mismarketed the film. 190. In March 2014, the Agents of SHIELD episode TAHITI introduced the Kree race to the MCU, which began a storyline that recurs throughout the series and involves finding a hidden Kree city. 191. 192 Also in March, ABC aired a one-hour television special titled, Marvel Studios, Assembling a Universe, which included a sneak peek of Guardians of the Galaxy. 193 Starting in April 2014, a two-part comic was released, titled Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy Prelude. Written by Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning, with art by Wellington Alves, the first issue focused on the background of Nebula and her bond with Thanos. The second issue featured the adventures of Rocket and Groot before they join forces with the other Guardians. 194 In June 2014, Mike Paciulo, Senior VP of Marvel Studios, described the marketing approach for Guardians of the Galaxy by saying that Marvel had built a robust marketing program for the theatrical release that carefully integrates traditional advertising, social media, digital marketing, strategic promotional partnerships, organic entertainment integrations and publicity. 195. In July 2014, Marvel launched a viral marketing campaign for the film called Galaxy Getaways, a fictional travel website that allows users to book passage to some of the planets depicted in the film, including Xandar, Morag, and Nohir. 196 Beginning July 4, 2014, a sneak peek of the film was presented at Disneyland and Disney's Hollywood Studios in the Magic Eye and ABC Sound Studio theaters, respectively. 197 Approximately 14 minutes of the film was screened on July 7, 2014, in IMAX 3D in the United States, and 3D theaters and IMAX 3D in Canada, along with two trailers. 198 199 The screening was met with positive reviews, praising the humor, the 3D and IMAX conversion, and Cooper's portrayal of Rocket. 199 200 201 202 However, it was criticized for beginning partway through the film, not allowing viewers to easily acclimate to the film's tone. 200 203 And for how the general audience might respond to a film within the MCU without established characters making appearances. 203. On July 12, 2014, Gunn and the actors from the film promoted Guardians of the Galaxy at the Lido 8 Cineplex in Singapore. 204 On July 17, 2014, Disney Interactive released an action RPG video game titled Guardians of the Galaxy, the universal weapon for iOS, Android, and Windows devices. 205 The game's original story was written by Dan Abnett, and was meant to complement the film. 206 On July 21, Pratt, Saldana, Bautista, Diesel, and Cooper appeared on Jimmy Kimmel Live to promote the film and debut some additional exclusive content. 207 On July 29, Pratt and Saldana rang the opening bell of the New York Stock Exchange as part of the film's marketing strategy. 208. On August 14th, Marvel released the scene of Groot dancing 209, which was shortly followed by an announcement from Funko that they were releasing a toy dancing Groot. The Hollywood Reporter noted that the quick release of the scene from Marvel 2 weeks after the film's theatrical release, along with the rush announcement from Funko, indicated the popularity of both the character and the scene. 210 The scene also produced the word Grooting, coined by Michael Rooker, in which a person dances similar to Groot, with the word entering the social media lexicon. 211 Also in August, Marvel held a special screening of the film at Children's Hospital Los Angeles, where Pratt dressed as Star-Lord to entertain the patients. 212 Merchandise. In June 2012, Marvel filed 11 trademark applications for Guardians of the Galaxy, covering a variety of consumer products, from video games to cosmetics. 213 Disney consumer products partnered with Mad Engine, Sea Life, New Era, Hasbro, Disguise, Rubies, Sideshow Collectibles, Lego, KI Designs, iHome, Funko, Freeze, Fast Forward, and Innovative Designs to produce merchandise for the film, with releases starting in June 2014. 195 214 215 216 Mad Engine and Sea Life were partnered as the core apparel outfitters, producing a line of t-shirts and fleece jackets, while New Era produced headwear and hats. 214 Hasbro produced toys for the film, Disguise and Rubies produced the costumes, and Sideshow Collectibles was given charge of the collectibles. 195 214 Lego announced 3 toy sets based on scenes from the film. 215 While iHome created character speakers, Funko made vinyl bobbleheads, Freeze crafted 1980s inspired apparel, and backpacks and stationery were made by Fast Forward and Innovative Designs. 195 Despite first films in a potential new franchise usually being off-limits to licensees, Marvel used Iron Man's success as evidence of unknown characters becoming hits with audiences to attract partnerships. Licensees embraced Rocket as the film's potential breakout character, with Drax and Gamora being used for older demographics. Star-Lord's obsession with 1980s nostalgia, including his awesome Mix VO1 cassette, has also served as a basis for tie-in products. 195 In August 2014, Funko announced a toy based on Dancing Groot, 210 While in October 2014, Marvel and Kid Designs announced a replica of Dancing Groot, for release in December 2014. 217 In December 2014, Disney made a second marketing push, to coincide with the film's home media release with additional merchandise. Merchandise partners included, Kid Designs with its replica Dancing Groot, Funko's Fabrications line with a plush Rocket, Mattel's Hot Wheels character cars, Sea Life, Hybrid Gem Sportswear, Freeze, MZ Burger, AccuTime, AIM, and Her Universe with apparel, Think Geek with jewelry and watches, American Greetings with cards, J. Franco with home goods, and Vander with drinkware. Additional partners included Mad Engine, Just Play, and Dragon Models. Paul Gitter, Senior Vice President of Marvel Licensing at Disney Consumer Products said, "The demand for Guardians of the Galaxy merchandise has been truly out of this world. Our merchandising and retail partners are doing a tremendous job of providing creative and innovative ways for fans to continue interacting with these popular characters and showcase their fandom year-round." 218 Release. Theatrical. Karen Gillan at the London premiere of Guardians of the Galaxy. The world premiere of Guardians of the Galaxy was held on July 21, 2014, at the Dolby Theatre in Hollywood, Los Angeles. 207-219 The film was released theatrically in the United Kingdom on July 31, 2014 161 and in the United States on August 1 97 in 3D and IMAX 3D. 126-220 The film was released in 4,080 theaters in the United States, making it the widest August release, breaking the 5-year record held by G.I. Joe, The Rise of Cobra, 4,007 theaters. The breakdown of venues was, 354 IMAX screens, 3,200 3D screens, 350 large format screens, and 240 D-box screens. 221 in its sixth weekend, Guardians of the Galaxy was playing in 69 territories, its most. 222 The film is part of Phase 2 of the MCU. 223. In June 2014, Gunn stated that the film had always been planned as a 3D film, and unlike many directors, I've been actively involved with converting every shot to 3D, making sure it works perfectly for the story and the film, making sure it's spectacular and immersive without being silly, distracting, or overly showy. Gunn also revealed that the IMAX 3D version would include shifting aspect ratios, to make the viewing experience even fuller and more encompassing. I've personally chosen all the places where the changes occur. The changing aspect ratios in this case are actually a part of the storytelling. 224. In July 2014, Gunn revealed that there were multiple scenes he had cut from the film, and he was investigating how to release them, either in an extended cut of the film, or as bonus features on the film's home media release. 69. Home media. Guardians of the Galaxy was released for digital download by Walt Disney Studios Home Entertainment on November 18, 2014, and on Blu-ray, Blu-ray 3D, and DVD on November 24, 2014, in the United Kingdom and on December 9 in the United States. 225-226 The digital and Blu-ray releases include behind-the-scenes featurettes, audio commentary, deleted scenes, a blooper reel, and an exclusive preview of Avengers: Age of Ultron. 226 As of October 4, 2015, the film has earned over $118 million in sales in the US. 227. The film was also included in the 13-disc box set, titled Marvel Cinematic Universe, Phase 2 Collection, which includes all of the Phase 2 films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It was released on December 8, 2015. 228 The IMAX enhanced version of the film was made available on Disney Plus beginning on November 12, 2021. 229. Reception. We wanted to do a space movie, and we loved the Guardians comics. Just the ridiculous pairing of a tree and a raccoon. It was before Star Wars came back with a vengeance. It was like, let's try a big space movie, the kind of which hasn't been around for a while. The audience is following us to these places. The success of Ant-Man and Doctor Strange helped us go, hey, the audience is with us, and Guardians is probably the best example of how far the audience are willing to go. Kevin Feige, president of Marvel Studios, on the success of the first Guardians of the Galaxy film. 230. Box office. Guardians of the Galaxy earned $333.7 million in North America and an estimated $439.6 million in other countries, for a worldwide total of $773.3 million. 3. The film became the third highest grossing film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, behind The Avengers and Iron Man 3. 231. It was the third highest grossing 2014 film, behind Transformers: Age of Extinction and The Hobbit: The Battle of the Five Armies, and the highest grossing superhero film of 2014. 232-233 It had a worldwide opening weekend of $160.7 million. 234 Deadline Hollywood calculated the film's net profit as $204.2 million, accounting for production budgets, marketing, talent participations, and other costs. Box office grosses and home media revenues placed it fifth on their list of 2014's most valuable blockbusters. 235. North America. Guardians of the Galaxy earned $11.2 million on its Thursday night pre-opening, surpassing Captain America: The Winter Soldier's gross, $10.2 million, for the biggest Thursday evening start for a movie in 2014. 236 IMAX accounted for 17% of the total gross, $1.9 million, which was the biggest August pre-release in IMAX format. 221 on its opening day, the film earned $37.8 million, including the Thursday night earnings. 237 Guardians of the Galaxy was the #1 movie during its opening weekend and grossed $94.3 million, setting an August weekend record, surpassing The Bourne Ultimatum. 238 during the opening weekend, IMAX earnings amounted to $11.7 million and 3D showings accounted for 45% of ticket sales. The film's success was partially attributed to its appeal to both genders. The opening weekend audience was 44% female, which is the biggest proportion ever for a MCU film. 55% of the opening weekend audience was over the age of 25. 238. Although the film fell to second place in its second and third weekends, behind Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 239-240, the film was #1 in its fourth, fifth, and sixth weekends. 241, 242, 243. By doing so, it became the first film in 2014 to top the domestic box office in non-consecutive weeks. 241, the first film of the summer, May, August, to be the #1 film in 3 weekends. 244, and the first MCU film to be the top film for 4 weeks, surpassing Captain America, The Winter Soldier and The Avengers, both of which were #1 for 3 weeks, and tied The Dark Knight for the most weeks at #1 among comic book-based films. 245. Phil Contrino, Vice President and Chief Analyst of BoxOffice.com, felt Guardian's success was unconventional and was shattering expectations. 242. The film remained in the top 10 for 10 weekends. 246. The film was the top-grossing film of summer 2014. 247, 248, first of 2014 to pass $300 million for its domestic gross. 249, and was the third highest-grossing domestic film of 2014, behind American Sniper and The Hunger Games, Mockingjay, Part 1. 250. The film was said to have injected life into an otherwise lower than normal summer box office. 242, 248, 251. Other territories. Guardians of the Galaxy was released in 42 international markets and grossed $66.4 million on its opening weekend. The biggest debuts came from Russia, $13 million, the United Kingdom, $10.8 million, Mexico, $6.5 million, Brazil, $6.5 million, and South Korea, $4.7 million. 234. The film topped the weekend box office 2 times, in its first and second weekends. 234, 252. In its 11th weekend, the film opened in China, earning $29.8 million, its largest, and became the third highest opening in the country for any Disney release, behind Iron Man 3 and Captain America, The Winter Soldier, and was an all-time industry record opening in October. 253. The following weekend saw an additional $21.3 million from China, making China the highest-grossing market with $69 million. 231. The film's 3 biggest markets in total earnings were China, $96.5 million, the UK, $47.4 million, and Russia, $37.5 million. 3. Critical response. The review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes reported an approval rating of 92%, with an average score of 7.8/10, based on 336 reviews. The website's consensus reads, "Guardians of the Galaxy is just as irreverent as fans of the frequently zany Marvel comic would expect, as well as funny, thrilling, full of heart, and packed with visual splendor." 254. Metacritic gave the film a weighted average score of 76 out of 100, based on 53 critics, indicating generally favorable reviews. 255 audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of A on an A+ to F scale. 256 while earning an A+ among under 18 and 25 to 34-year-old viewers. 257. Scott Foundas of Variety said James Gunn's presumptive franchise starter is overlong, overstuffed, and sometimes too eager to please, but the cheeky comic tone keeps things buoyant, as does Chris Pratt's winning performance, and praised the film's look created by cinematographer Ben Davis, production designer Charles Wood, and special effects makeup designer David White. 172 Justin Lowe of The Hollywood Reporter also praised the film's look, and felt a well-matched ensemble rises to the challenge of launching a heroic origin film with distinctive style, abundant thrills, and no shortage of humor. 258. The Daily Telegraph's Robbie Collins said, "A brand new summer family blockbuster this may be, but it plays by old, half-forgotten rules, trimming out the clutter and cross-referencing for snappy, streamlined, Saturday cartoon fun." 259 Kenneth Duran of the Los Angeles Times said, "Blessed with a loose, anarchic B-picture soul that encourages you to enjoy yourself even when you're not quite sure what's going on, the scruffy Guardians is irreverent in a way that can bring the first Star Wars to mind, in part because it has some of the most unconventional heroes this side of the Mos Eisley Cantina." 260. Manala Dargis of the New York Times said, "While Guardians takes you down one after another crazy narrative turn, it also pulls you into and, for the most part, keeps you in a fully realized other world." 261. Richard Roper of the Chicago Sun-Times said, "Guardians of the Galaxy is a late summer treat, a mostly light-hearted and self-referential comic book movie with loads of whiz-bang action, some laugh-out-loud moments, and a couple of surprisingly beautiful and touching scenes as well, calling it a refreshing confection of entertainment." 262. Jake Coyle of the Associated Press was more critical of the film, calling it terribly overstuffed and many of the jokes get drowned out by the special effects. The pervasive movie references detract from the stab at freshness, and Guardians depends all too much on the whimsy of 70s anthems for an original beat. He also felt that Close, Reilly, and Del Toro were underused in the film. 263 Nicholas Al of the San Francisco Chronicle said, "In place of wit, Guardians offers a sort of generalized willingness to be amusing, an atmosphere of high spirits that feels like lots of people pumping air into a tire that has a hole in it. Everyone is clearly working, but nothing is really happening, and yet the effort is so evident that there's an impulse to reward it." 264. The film received mixed reviews in China, according to state media outlet China Daily, where viewers complained that the film's poor subtitle translation not only spoiled the fun of watching it, but also made it difficult to understand its humor. 265 Jim Starlin, creator of Drax, Gamera, and Thanos, said it might be Marvel's best movie yet. 266 Director Steven Spielberg said that the film was the superhero film that impressed him most, as it does not take itself too seriously. He felt he had seen something new in superhero movies from the film, without any cynicism, or fear of being dark when needed. 267. In 2017, Guardians of the Galaxy was featured as one of the 100 greatest films of all time in Empire magazine's poll of the 100 greatest movies, as the highest MCU film on the list. 268. Accolades. Main article, list of accolades received by Guardians of the Galaxy, film. At the 87th Academy Awards, Guardians of the Galaxy received nominations for Best Makeup and Hairstyling and Best Visual Effects. 269 The film's other nominations include an Annie Award, 272 British Academy Film Awards, 271 and 5 Critics' Choice Movie Awards, winning 2. Christopher Michael Pratt, born June 21, 1979, is an American actor and film producer. His films as a leading actor have grossed over $14.1 billion worldwide, making him one of the highest-grossing film stars of all time. Pratt was one of the world's highest paid actors annually from 2015 to 2017. Through starring in blockbuster franchises and big-budget films, he has established himself as one of Hollywood's most bankable stars. Born in the city of Virginia, Minnesota, Pratt began his film career with minor roles before securing a starring role in the drama series Everwood, 2002 to 2006. He had his breakthrough role as Andy Dwyer in the NBC sitcom Parks and Recreation, 2009 to 2015. Pratt received global recognition and established himself as a leading actor by portraying Star-Lord in the Guardians of the Galaxy film franchise, appearing in a series of superhero films spanning from Guardians of the Galaxy, 2014, to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, 2023. He also reprises the role in other Marvel Cinematic Universe films, such as Avengers, Infinity War, 2018, and Thor, Love and Thunder, 2022. Pratt achieved further critical and commercial success by portraying Owen Grady in the Jurassic World franchise, 2015 to 2022, which consists of 3 films that have collectively grossed over $3.9 billion worldwide. His other starring roles include the Western action film The Magnificent Seven, 2016, the science fiction film Passengers, 2016, the military science fiction action film The Tomorrow War, 2021, and the science fiction adventure film The Electric State, 2025. Pratt has also voiced characters in animated films like the Lego Movie franchise, 2014 to 2019, Onward, 2020, The Super Mario Bros. Movie, 2023, and The Garfield Movie, 2024. Pratt was named by Time as one of the 100 most influential people in the world in 2015, and appeared in Forbes Celebrity 100 in 2016. Often regarded as a sex symbol, he received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 2017. Divorced from actress Anna Faris, Pratt has been married to author Katherine Schwarzenegger since 2019. He has 4 children, 1 with Faris and 3 with Schwarzenegger. Since February 2020, Pratt has owned the production company Indivisible Productions. Early life and education. Exterior of Lake Stevens High School. Lake Stevens High School, pictured in 2020, which Pratt attended. Christopher Michael Pratt I was born in the city of Virginia, Minnesota, on June 21, 1979. 3 for his mother, Kathleen Louise Kathy, née Indel, worked at a Safeway supermarket, while his father, Daniel Clifton Pratt, held various jobs, including mining and home remodeling. 5, 6, 7 He has 2 older siblings, a sister, Angie, and a brother, Daniel Cully Pratt. 8, 9 Pratt has cited his brother Cully as one of his biggest influences and credits him as the reason he started acting. 10 When Pratt was 2 or 3 years old, his father uprooted the family to Anchorage, Alaska, where they lived for the next few years. 6, 11, 12 Concerned that raising children in Alaska was too dangerous due to the presence of bears, the family entered a period of instability, relocating between 20 homes across the United States in search of job opportunities. 13. When Pratt was 6 or 7 years old, the family eventually settled in the Seattle suburb of Lake Stevens, Washington. 13, 14 In an interview with the Huffington Post, Pratt recalled a family vacation on a cruise where he and his brother entered a dance competition, earning him a 3rd-place prize. 15, 16 As a child, he frequently danced to hip-hop music, the dance drama film Saturday Night Fever, 1977, and Michael Jackson. 15 Pratt was a frequent reader of comic books, having once won $300 in a bingo tournament and spending it all on comics. 17, 18 He once shared with the Los Angeles Times that his home featured a lot of art, saying, "I would try to copy these exceptional artists who could just draw male and female figures," and recalled that the walls were covered in comic book-style murals. 19 As a teenager, Pratt showed an interest in music, listening to pop musicians like the Beatles and rappers like Tupac Shakur and Mos Def. he has cited Elvis Presley and Johnny Cash as his biggest musical influences. 20. Around this time he began playing the guitar. 21. Pratt finished 5th in a state wrestling tournament during high school and also competed in shot put on the track and field team. 5:22:23 Reflecting on that time, he recalled telling his wrestling coach, "I don't know what I want to do, but I know I'll be famous and I'll make a shit ton of money." 24 He added, "I had no idea how. I'd done nothing proactive." 25 He graduated from Lake Stevens High School in 1997. 26 Pratt dropped out of community college midway through his first semester and took on various jobs, including selling discount tickets and briefly working as a daytime stripper. 27 He eventually found himself homeless in Maui, Hawaii, living out of a van and a tent on the beach. 28-29 Retrospectively, he told The Independent, "It's a pretty awesome place to be homeless. We just drank and smoked weed and worked minimal hours, just enough to cover gas, food, and fishing supplies." 30 While in Maui, he also worked with the Christian missionary group Jews for Jesus. 31. Career 2000 to 2013, early roles and breakthrough. Pratt smiling behind a microphone. Pratt at the 2013 San Diego Comic-Con International. At 19 years old, while working as a waiter at the Bubba Gump Shrimp Company in Maui, Pratt was discovered by actress and director Rae Dawn Chong. Impressed by his charisma, she cast him in her directorial debut, a short horror film titled Cursed Part 3, 2000, in which he played Devon. 32-33-34 According to Chong, Pratt arrived on set early and completely prepared, and his performance blew everyone away. 35 Pratt credits Cursed Part 3 with teaching him the fundamentals of acting, stating that he has no regrets about getting his start in the film. 36-37 Pratt's first regular television role was as Harold Brighton Bright Abbott in the series Everwood, 2002 to 2006. 38-39 in the 4th season of the teen drama television series The O.C. 2006 to 2007, Pratt portrayed the activist Winchester Che Cook. 40-41. Pratt then portrayed Barry Wesley's, James McAvoy, co-worker and unfaithful best friend in the action thriller film Wanted, 2008, and also played Bobby in the comedy Wieners, 2008. 42-43 He played the fiancé of Emma, Anne Hathaway, in the romantic comedy Bride Wars, 2009, 39-44 The officer Roman Duda in the horror comedy Jennifer's Body, 2009, 45-46 and the leading man role of Lester Watts in the romantic comedy Deep in the Valley, 2009. 47-48 The latter most marked his first leading role in a comedy film. 49 In 2009, Pratt began portraying Andy Dwyer on the NBC comedy series Parks and Recreation, a role he played until 2015. 50-51 Initially intended as a temporary character, his performance impressed the producers so much that they made him a series regular. 52-53 The role ultimately became his breakthrough. 3. Pratt played Oakland Athletics first baseman and catcher Scott Hatteberg in the biographical sports drama film Moneyball, 2011. 54-55 Initially, he was told he was too overweight for the role, which he credited to the cooking of his then-girlfriend, actress Anna Faris. 56-57 Determined to land the part, Pratt committed to a strict workout routine while keeping tabs on the casting process, eventually shedding 30 pounds, 14 kilograms, within 3 months. 58 Once he felt physically ready, he sent a photo to the casting director and secured the role. 5 In Moneyball, he took on a dramatic role as a downcast baseball player and devoted father, grappling with the fear that his career was over while facing the challenging transition to a new defensive position. 5:59 He regained the weight he had previously lost for his role in the high school reunion comedy 10 Years, 2011, then shed it once more to portray a Navy SEAL in Zero Dark 30, 2012. 5. In 2012, Pratt starred in Nicholas Stoller's romantic comedy The 5-Year Engagement. 60. The film received mixed reviews. 61. Critic David Adelstein from Vulture stated that he had enough sweetness to compensate for his character's adolescent japs. 62. He later played the minor roles of Brett and Paul in the 2013 films Delivery Man and Her, respectively. 63-64. 2014 to 2018, worldwide recognition and blockbuster films. Pratt sternly looking to his right. Pratt at the 2016 San Diego Comic-Con International. After previously being known primarily for supporting roles, in 2014, Pratt took on leading roles in 2 major studio films. 5. In June 2012, he was cast as Emmett Brokowski in the animated adventure comedy The Lego Movie, 2014. He portrayed a construction worker who must stop a tyrannical businessman from gluing the Lego universe into his own rigid vision of perfection. 65, 66, 67. The film was both a critical and commercial success, receiving predominantly positive reviews on Rotten Tomatoes and earning $470.7 million at the global box office. 68, 69. His other major role in 2014 was portraying Peter Quill, also known as Star-Lord, a spacefaring mercenary who was abducted from Earth as a child and raised by a group of alien thieves and smugglers called the Ravagers in Marvel Studios' Guardians of the Galaxy. 70, 71, 72. Pratt initially declined the role of Star-Lord, expressing concern about experiencing another Captain Kirk or Avatar moment, referencing previous humbling audition experiences for those roles. 573. However, casting director Sarah Finn recommended him to director James Gunn, who had been struggling to cast the part and initially dismissed the idea. Finn arranged a meeting between the two, during which Gunn became convinced that Pratt was the ideal choice for the role. 74-75. Guardians of the Galaxy ranked as the 3rd highest grossing film of 2014, with a total revenue of $773.3 million. 76-77. The role was included in a multi-film contract that Pratt signed with Marvel Studios. 78. Bruce Dionis of The New Yorker liked his charisma and his love for 70s music, which is so full of goodwill that he buoys the film. 79. In November 2013, Pratt, an enthusiastic fan of Jurassic Park, 1993, which he has described as my Star Wars, was cast as Owen Grady in the science fiction film Jurassic World, 2015, the 4th installment of the Jurassic Park film franchise. 80-81. In preparation for the role, Pratt engaged in various workouts: P90X, running, swimming, boxing, and kickboxing, and increased his caloric intake to 4,000 calories daily. 82. Jurassic World was a commercial success, grossing $1.67 billion worldwide, making it the 3rd highest grossing film of all time upon release and the 2nd highest grossing film of 2015. 83, 84, 85. Alongside Denzel Washington, Pratt starred as Josh Faraday, a gambler and cowboy, in the action film The Magnificent Seven, 2016, a remake of the 1960 Western of the same name. 86-87. He later appeared in Passengers, 2016, a science fiction film released in December, co-starring Jennifer Lawrence. 88. He portrayed Jim Preston, a mechanic seeking to leave a world that no longer appears to value traditional, hands-on labor. 89. Passengers was a commercial success, grossing $304 million worldwide. 90. Pratt looking to his right while smiling. Pratt at the 2018 San Diego Comic-Con International. Pratt reprised his role as Star-Lord in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, 2017. 91. It became the 8th highest grossing film of 2017, having grossed $869 million on a $200 million budget. 92-93. He reprised his role again as Star-Lord as part of the ensemble cast in the Russo brothers' Avengers, Infinity War, 2018. 94-95. Pratt described his role in the film as a guest star appearance and said, "You get to be a little more vibrant, a little more irreverent, a little bit more colorful if you want it to be. 96 Several social media users referred to Star-Lord as the character responsible for sabotaging events in Infinity War. Pratt himself acknowledged the criticism, admitting as much in response to the widespread sentiment. 97 98 99 It grossed $2.052 billion, making it the highest-grossing film of 2018 and the fifth highest-grossing film of all time from release until it was surpassed in January 2023 by Avatar: The Way of Water, 2022. 101 He then reprised his role as Owen Grady in J.A. Bayona's Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, 2018. 102 One of the most expensive films ever made, it became the third highest-grossing film of 2018, grossing $1.31 billion on a budget of $432 million, but received generally negative reception. 103. 2019, present, continued success and versatility. Pratt reprised his role as Emmett Brokowski in the Lego Movie 2, the second part, 2019, the sequel to the Lego Movie, 2014. 104 105 The film received generally positive reviews from critics, although the Rotten Tomatoes consensus noted that it isn't quite as much fun as its predecessor. 106 Despite the somewhat favorable critical reception, it underperformed at the box office. 107 108 In the Western The Kid, 2019, Pratt plays Grant Cutler, the villainous uncle of protagonist Rio Cutler. 109 Pratt subsequently reprised his role as Star-Lord in Avengers: Endgame, 2019, although he was not featured as part of the main ensemble cast. 72 Endgame was the highest-grossing film of all time until it was surpassed by Avatar, 2009, due to its 2021 re-release in China. 110 111 In February 2020, Pratt established his own production company, Indivisible Productions. 112 Its first project, The Terminal List, which stars Pratt and lists him as an executive producer, premiered on Amazon Prime Video in July 2022. 113 114 In March 2020, Pratt voiced one of the lead characters in the Disney and Pixar animated film Onward, alongside his Avengers co-star Tom Holland. 115 116 Pratt and Parks and Recreation announced the upcoming release of a new album based on Pratt's character Andy Dwyer in May 2021. 117 In June that same year, they officially released a pair of singles, The Pit and Two Birds Holding Hands, before releasing the album Mouse Rat, the Awesome Album, in August. 118 119 In the Tomorrow War, 2021, Pratt played the lead role of Dan Forrester, a science teacher who travels into the future to help humanity fight against an alien invasion. 120 The film received generally mixed reviews from critics. 121 As did Pratt's performance in the film. 122 123 124 He reprised his role as Owen Grady in Jurassic World Dominion, 2022, which became the third highest-grossing film of the year, making just over $1 billion. 125 126 That same year, Pratt played Star-Lord in Thor: Love and Thunder, 2022, in a non-starring role. 127 Pratt voiced the main character Mario in the Super Mario Bros. Movie, 2023. 128 Having grossed over $1.36 billion, it became the highest-grossing film based on a video game of all time and the second highest-grossing film of 2023. 129 130 131 He reprised the lead role of Star-Lord in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, 2023, which grossed $845.6 million worldwide, becoming the fourth highest-grossing film of 2023. 132 133 Pratt voiced the titular cat in the animated comedy film The Garfield Movie, 2024, his only role of the year. 134 despite unfavorable critical response. 135, 136, 137 The film performed well at the box office. 138 In 2025, he starred in The Electric State alongside Millie Bobby Brown. 139 Made on a budget of $320 million, it is one of the most expensive films ever produced and Netflix's most expensive film of all time. 141 However, it was panned by critics. 142 Some thought that the budget was wasted. 143 144 While others were disappointed by the performances of the actors and direction of the Russo brothers. 145 146 Pratt will reprise the voice of Mario in the Super Mario Galaxy movie, which is scheduled for release in 2026. 147. Acting style and public image. Pratt to the left next to actress Elizabeth Banks on the right, both sitting down. Pratt and co-star Elizabeth Banks promoting the Lego Movie 2, the second part, 2019. Called one of Hollywood's biggest stars in 2018 by CNBC27, Pratt is best known for his roles in action films. 148 149 Though he is also well known for his roles in comedies. 150 and dramas. 151 An A-list actor. 152 153 He has become one of the world's most bankable stars. 154 155 Through playing in big-budget, commercially successful films, often portraying charming and adventurous characters. 156 157 Having grown up with a strong appreciation for music. 18 Pratt often uses it as a tool to help him get into character. 47 He also uses physical transformations, like gaining or losing significant weight and working out intensely, to match the character's needs. 158 159 160 Some critics have taken issue with him for repeatedly playing similar characters across multiple films. 161 162 163 One such critic, paced writer Brianna Ziegler, thought that, in a 2023 review, Pratt lacks versatility, the skill to transition from comedy to drama, and any modicum of gravitas. 164 In 2017, Amy Nicholson of Slate dubbed him America's new sweetheart, criticizing his safe screen presence that lacked the depth and complexity necessary for his cinematic roles. 165 Other critics have thought otherwise. Screen Rant's Ben Gibbons praised Pratt for demonstrating his acting range across a variety of roles, from action heroes to lovable goofballs, noting that he consistently stands out and resonates with audiences. 166 The Guardian critic Alex Godfrey thought that with his mixture of brawn and earthy charm, Pratt is increasingly coming to resemble a more contemporary Hollywood star, Harrison Ford. 167 Since around the time he began portraying Star-Lord, Pratt has often been labeled as a sex symbol by the media. 168 169 170 People magazine placed him at number 2 on its list of the sexiest men alive in 2014. 171 172 In 2017, Variety's Janelle Riley described Pratt as one of the nicest guys in the business, a reputation the actor attributes to having good parents that raised me right. 173 However, some members of the public began referring to him as the worst Chris around 2020, a label that emerged online as he was deemed the least likable among the group of Hollywood actors commonly known as the Hollywood Chris's: Evans, Hemsworth, Pine, and himself. 174 175 Pratt himself linked the backlash to his Generation Award acceptance speech at the 2018 MTV Movie and TV Awards, in which he stated, "God is real. God loves you. God wants the best for you." 175 TV Guide writer Caitlin Thomas described his public persona as a combination of his on-screen charisma and a degree of candor, which at times can be seen as controversial or problematic. 176. In 2015, Pratt appeared in the Time 100, a compilation of the 100 most influential people in the world, as selected annually by Time magazine. 178 that same year, Forbes ranked him as the 33rd highest paid actor globally, with earnings of $13 million. 179 in 2016, he appeared in the Celebrity 100 list, a compilation of the 100 most powerful public figures in the world, as selected annually by Forbes. 180 also in 2016, the magazine again listed him as the 16th highest paid actor in the world, with earnings of $26 million. 181 in 2017, Pratt was ranked the 19th highest paid actor, with earnings of $17 million. 182 according to the numbers, as of April 2025, his films as a leading actor have grossed over $14.1 billion worldwide, making him the 5th highest grossing box office film star and 3rd highest grossing male actor of all time. 183 including all roles, leading performances, cameos, and voice acting, his films have grossed a total of $15.8 billion worldwide. 183. Personal life. Chris Pratt in a dark gray suit standing next to Anna Faris, who is wearing a black dress. Pratt and his then-wife Anna Faris at the 2011 Toronto International Film Festival. In February 2007, while filming Take Me Home Tonight, 2011, Pratt met actress Anna Faris, who portrayed his love interest in the film. 185 the couple became engaged in late 2008 and married on July 9, 2009, in Bali, Indonesia, choosing to elope spontaneously following a friend's wedding. 186 Pratt and Faris resided in the Hollywood Hills area of Los Angeles. 187 Faris gave birth to their son in 2012, who was born 9 weeks premature, weighing just 3 pounds 12 ounces, 1.7 kilograms. 189 Pratt later shared that the experience had a profound impact on his faith, stating that he and Faris prayed a lot during the uncertain early days of their son's life. 191 Pratt and Faris announced their separation in August 2017. 193 he filed for divorce on December 1, 2017, citing irreconcilable differences and requesting joint custody of their son. 194 the divorce was finalized on October 31, 2018. 184 Pratt began dating author Katherine Schwarzenegger in June 2018, after being introduced by her mother, Maria Shriver. 196 on January 14, 2019, Pratt announced their engagement. 198 and the couple married on June 8, 2019, in Montecito, California. 199 they spent their honeymoon on the island of Lanai, Hawaii, staying at a luxury resort. 200 the couple has 3 children, their first daughter was born in 2020, followed by their second daughter born in 2022, and a son in 2024. 202 through his marriage to Schwarzenegger, Pratt became part of the extended Kennedy family. 204 in 2023, Pratt and Schwarzenegger acquired the Elwood Zimmerman House, an architecturally significant property located in Brentwood, California. The original structure was later demolished to make way for the construction of a larger residence. 205. Pratt was raised in the Lutheran faith and later worked with the organization Jews for Jesus. 207 before identifying as a non-denominational Christian. 208 he attends Zoe Church in Los Angeles, which came under public scrutiny after actor Elliot Page criticized it for allegedly being anti-LGBTQ, citing the church's connection to a pastor formerly affiliated with Hillsong Church. 210 in response to the accusation, Pratt stated, It has recently been suggested that I belong to a church which hates a certain group of people and is infamously anti-LGBTQ. Nothing could be further from the truth. I go to a church that opens its doors to absolutely everyone. 211 Brian Houston, the founder of Hillsong Church, later clarified that Pratt had never been a member of their congregation. 212 Director James Gunn, known for Guardians of the Galaxy, 2014, also publicly defended Pratt, affirming that he was familiar with the church Pratt currently attends and criticizing those calling for the actor to be recast as Star-Lord. 214 In 2017, Pratt stated that he does not align himself with either side of the political spectrum and expressed a desire to promote unity through finding common ground. 215 In 2020, he and his wife, Catherine, became global ambassadors for the Special Olympics. 216 In 2024, Pratt wrote an op-ed on Maria Shriver's website, Sunday Paper, regarding the 2024 United States presidential election. In it, he emphasized unity over political allegiance and avoided endorsing either Kamala Harris or Donald Trump. 217 Philanthropy. In 2015, Pratt and Ferris donated $1 million to a charity that provided eyeglasses to underprivileged children. The donation was allegedly inspired by Pratt's son, who was born premature and visually impaired. They also donated to the neonatal intensive care unit of the Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles, and also supported March of Dimes, which works to end premature births, birth defects, and infant mortality. 218 In December 2016, Pratt donated $500,000 to a teen center in his hometown of Lake Stevens, which was named in memory of his father. 220 In February 2021, Pratt donated $20,000 to fight hunger in South Carolina. The donation was part of a fundraiser by Pratt and an organization to raise $650,000 to fight food insecurity amidst the COVID-19 pandemic in the United States. Pratt also helped create the charity Feed Thy Neighbor, to which he donated $100,000. 222 Also in February 2021, he donated $10,000 to the Edmonds Food Bank as part of his organization, and also donated to the Edmonds Chamber of Commerce and Edmonds Waterfront Center in Washington State. 223 Acting Credits and Awards. Main article, List of roles and awards of Chris Pratt. According to review aggregation website Rotten Tomatoes, Pratt's most acclaimed films include Moneyball, 2011, Zero Dark 30, 2012, Her, 2013, The Lego Movie, 2014, Guardians of the Galaxy, 2014, Onward, 2020, Alaskan Nets, 2021, and the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, 2022. 224 His accolades include a Saturn Award, an MTV Movie Award, and an MTV Movie and TV Award. David Michael Bautista Jr., commonly referred to as Bautista, born January 18, 1969, is an American actor and retired professional wrestler. Regarded as one of the most prolific professional wrestlers of the Ruthless Aggression era, he rose to fame for his multiple stints in WWE between 2002 and 2019. Bautista began his wrestling career in 1999 and signed with WWE, then WWF, in 2000. From 2002 to 2010, he gained fame under the ring name Bautista, initially as a member of Evolution. Amongst other championships, Bautista would go on to win the WWE Championship twice and the World Heavyweight Championship 4 times. His first reign as World Heavyweight Champion was the longest in the title's history. He also won the 2005 and 2014 Royal Rumble matches and subsequently headlined WrestleMania 21 and WrestleMania XXX, with the former being one of the top 5 highest-grossing PPV events in wrestling history. He retired from professional wrestling after WrestleMania 35 in 2019. As an actor, Bautista is known for portraying Drax in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, 2014 to 2023, and Raven in Dune, 2021, and its 2024 sequel. Bautista has additionally starred in Spectre, 2015, Blade Runner 2049, 2017, Final Score, Master Z, Ip Man Legacy, both 2018, Army of the Dead, 2021, Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery, 2022, Knock at the Cabin, and Parachute, both 2023. 2. He is often listed and considered by several publications as the best wrestler turned actor of all time. Early life. David Michael Bautista Jr. was born in Washington, D.C., on January 18, 1969, the son of Donna Ray, née Mullins, and hairdresser David Michael Bautista. His mother is of Greek descent, while his father was born to Filipino immigrants. 456 His paternal grandfather served in the Philippine military, worked as a taxi driver and barber, and held other jobs to feed the family. Bautista's mother later came out as a lesbian. 7 He has said that he lived in poverty and had a hard life, which included exposure to violent crime at an early age. 8 Before reaching the age of 9, 2 bodies had been found on his front lawn and another one nearby. 9 As young as age 13, he had begun stealing cars. 10 By age 17, he was estranged from his parents and living on his own. 11 However, he later said, "I am proud of my parents. They are good, honest, hard-working folks. They taught me the values of working hard." 10. Bautista worked as a nightclub bouncer until he was arrested after a fight that left 2 patrons injured, one of whom was knocked unconscious. 11 After a trial, he was sentenced to 1 year of probation. 11 He worked as a lifeguard. 12 Before deciding to pursue a career in bodybuilding. 11 Which he credits with saving his life. 13 At the age of 30, after having a breakdown from the shame he felt for having to ask a co-worker to lend him money so he could buy Christmas presents for his children, he saw how lucrative a career in professional wrestling could be and decided to pursue it. 7. Part of a series on professional wrestling history. Notable promotions. Notable men. Notable women. Notable tag teams and stables. By region. Styles. Concepts. Culture. Media outlets. Controversies. Lists. Related topics. Vide. Professional wrestling career. Training and early career, 1999 to 2000. Bautista tried out at World Championship Wrestling's power plant, where trainer Dwayne Bruce told him he would never make it in the wrestling business. 14 He then went to the World Wrestling Federation, WWF, who advised him to train with Afa Anoa'i at the Wild Samoan Training Center. 15-16 Where he trained and later competed in Anoa'i's World Extreme Wrestling, WXW, promotion. He wrestled his debut match under the ring name Khan on October 30, 1999, 17 less than 3 months before his 31st birthday. 18 He also trained with Maressa Crump in Muay Thai and Eskrima. 17-19 World Wrestling Federation / World Wrestling Entertainment / WWE, 2000 to 2010. Ohio Valley Wrestling, 2000 to 2002. Upon signing with the WWF in 2000, Bautista was sent to Ohio Valley Wrestling, OVW, a WWF developmental territory. He made his OVW debut later that year under the ring name Leviathan 17, where he immediately joined forces with SYNN. As a member of the Disciples of SYNN stable, he went undefeated until being beaten at Christmas Chaos by Kane with help from Stone Cold Steve Austin. He later won the OVW Heavyweight Championship from the Machine Doug Basham before losing the belt to the Prototype. A few months later, Bautista left OVW after he was promoted to WWE's main roster. 15. Early storylines, 2002 to 2003. While still in OVW, Bautista began appearing on non-televised WWE events. 20. He began his televised WWE career on May 9, 2002, on an episode of SmackDown, as Deacon Bautista, a heel enforcer for Reverend Devon. 21. He made his WWE in-ring debut in a tag team match teaming with Devon against Farouk and Randy Orton, pinning Orton. Over several weeks, Orton tried to beat Devon and Bautista with different partners, but ultimately lost each time. 22. Bautista suffered his first loss in a match against Ricochet after Devon accidentally punched him, allowing Ricochet to take advantage and pin Bautista. Bautista and Devon argued over the forthcoming weeks, with Bautista eventually turning on Devon. On the November 14th episode of SmackDown, Bautista defeated Devon to end their feud. 23. After splitting with Devon, he was assigned to the Raw brand and was renamed Bautista. He aligned himself with Ric Flair. 24. And feuded with Kane, whom he defeated at Armageddon on December 15. 25. Evolution, 2003 to 2005. Main article, Evolution. In January 2003, Bautista joined Triple H, Ric Flair, and Randy Orton to form the heel stable Evolution. 26. Bautista, however, was sidelined for much of 2003 after he tore his right triceps muscle at a Raw Live event in a tag team match alongside Orton against the Dudley Boys. While training after the injury, Bautista retore his triceps, extending his stay on the sidelines. 27. Bautista made his return on the October 20th episode of Raw, interfering in a match between Goldberg and Shawn Michaels. 28. At Armageddon on December 14th, Bautista and Ric Flair became the World Tag Team Champions after winning a Tag Team Turmoil match. 29. While Triple H won the World Heavyweight Championship and Randy Orton the Intercontinental Championship.